One might think that when you finish all the stuff, chemo, surgery, radiation, that life would go back to normal. But it doesn't. I mean, in some ways, it's harder than the actual treatment. Because every inch of your body is in recovery mode. Hair, skin, eyes, lungs, nails, joints, bowels, heart. I mean, it takes months to get back to a semi-normal state. But it's one step closer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer on September 15th. The doctor told me it's aggressive. We need to treat it aggressively, and I need you to be aggressive with it. And I was. We threw everything at this thing. The red devil, they call it. Had some pretty intense side effects. Coincidentally, my first treatment was Halloween Day. Fitting, don't you think? 16 rounds of chemo, surgery, 20 rounds of radiation. Took 9 months. August 1st of this past year was my final radiation. I checked all the boxes. God told me he'd get me through it, and he'd be by my side the entire way. And he was. My last report read, no evidence of disease found. That's all any cancer warrior wants to hear. Chemo had done its part. Surgery took out any lingering cells. And radiation made sure no footprint remained. But I was transported to my last 2 radiation treatments via hospital bed. Started having chest pains. Intense. Radiating down the arm, the whole bit. Look up signs of a heart attack. You'll see a picture of me. Went to the ER, ran all the tests. Pericarditis was the diagnosis. Inflammation of the heart, which can be caused from radiation. The doctor said, it's hard to diagnose, but if the medicine takes care of it, then that's probably what it is. However, no, there's no howevers. We're done here. We saw something on the imaging that we want to get a better look at. Doctor said, it's probably nothing, but let's be sure. Fast forward a couple weeks, I had the MRI. Doctor calls me on a Saturday. Doctors don't just call you on the weekend. Kelly, you have a blood clot on your heart. The following Monday, I met with my oncologist. He says, Kelly, blood disorders are my forte. I see hundreds and hundreds every year. In the brain, in the lungs, but never in the heart. I am concerned. Well, you know what they say. Go big or go home. Walking time bomb. That's all I can envision. Strapped on, timer set. Listen, I just overcame cancer. There's no way I'm letting a blood clot take me out. Hi, God. Me again. A quick question. I know you told me you needed me to be on that strongest woman list. And I thought that was just like a 1-year commitment. I didn't know we were talking about longer. I mean, my year end is come and gone, and just kind of hoping we could take my name off now. Uh-huh. Oh. You needed me just a little longer. Okay. Yeah, I remember. Plans to prosper me, not harm. Give me hope. Future. Yep, I got it. I understand. Okay. Love you too. God did not bring me this far to just bring me this far. The next day, the what ifs started building. Now I know he's in control, but the devil, he tried to sneak in my head, but God pushed him aside and led me to a verse in Joshua. Joshua just lost his leader, and God was telling him that he was going to have to lead his people into the promised land. And he was feeling that overwhelming weight of the task ahead of him. And the Lord offered these words of encouragement. Have I not commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid. Neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, wherever thou goest. Okay, Lord, I hear you. You've got it. Of course you do. So to make a long story longer, I got a second and a third opinion. All the doctors confirmed it was a blood clot, but their treatment options varied. One doctor told me, yeah, you're probably going to need surgery to remove it. We'll just pull it out. Pull it out? Like a vacuum? Yeah, like a vacuum. The problem is, we can't always control the force of that vacuum. So when it suctions it out, it could pull a piece of the heart with it if it's stuck to the heart hard enough. And you'd bleed out. I see. So how many of these do you do a year? No, it's rare. Maybe one a year, maybe. Then you, my friend, are not doing this surgery. I told him, yeah, I'm probably going to get a second opinion from the Cleveland Clinic. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. You see, what you are, we call a zebra. You're rare. We don't get them often. Cleveland sees all the zebras. Well, then take me to that zoo, because I don't want to be out here on an island by myself. Why am I telling you this story? Here's the nugget, the piece I want you to get from this story. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I wasn't surprised. I didn't get emotional, I didn't cry. I knew the steps we had to take to get it taken care of. I had peace about it. God was with me. But I didn't feel that same peace with this. And that's what scared me. The not having peace, the constant worry that I had about it was what bothered me the most. More than the actual diagnosis. The being worried terrified me. If you know me, you know I do not like not being in control. I have a plan for everything. Everything. You should see my vacation itineraries. Every moment is planned out. And I have a backup plan to the plan. But I didn't have control of this. And I hadn't accepted that yet. December 3rd. I'll never forget that date. Typical Sunday, like any other. We were visiting a pretty large church. And the worship team was singing a song called Run to the Father. And if you haven't heard it, please look it up. It's a wonderful song. Let me remind you, this was the beginning of the service. We hadn't even this was the beginning. Not the invitational, the beginning. And I want to read you a piece of the lyrics. Just listen. I've carried a burden too long on my own. I wasn't created to bear it alone. I hear your invitation to let it all go. I see it now. I'm laying it down. And I know that I need you. I run to the Father. I fall into grace. I'm done with the hiding. No reason to wait. My heart needs a surgeon. My soul needs a friend. So I'll run to the Father again and again. Okay. My heart really did need a surgeon, and I know this was talking about spiritually, but in that moment, I knew he was talking to me. I couldn't get to that altar fast enough. It was almost like I was being pushed down there. When I got there, I poured my heart out to God, and I laid it all down. And when I got up, I never thought about it again. I have never had one more worry about this clock. Because God's got it. I just had to be willing to give it to him so he could handle it. Do you know the story of Naaman? Naaman was the captain of an army. He was a great warrior, highly respected. And he had leprosy. Very painful, incurable. This is a great story. I could go on and on about it. But to summarize, he went to the doorway of the house of Elijah. Elijah told him to go to the Jordan and wash himself 7 times, and his flesh would be restored. Naaman was furious, went away angry. He was thinking to himself, why don't you just wave his hand and let it be gone? Why do I have to go do something else to make this go away? And I don't want to go wash in the Jordan, the nasty Jordan. But ultimately he went and washed himself 7 times. And he was cleansed. The point here is that God doesn't always need some big miraculous thing to happen. He just needs us to be willing to go, to do. He just needed me to lay my burden down to him so that he could handle it, so he could take care of it. It was that simple, and I was making it so hard. I keep thinking about Naaman. And what if he had stopped at 6? What if he didn't go all the way? What if he'd have stopped just short of where God needed him to be? Don't stop at 6.